Not so much a witness for the prosecution as a prosecution for witness. The charge is false pretences. To wit, Paul Barry, host of the 7 Network's Witness program, passing himself off as the investigative reporter.
Come on, Stuart, that was centuries ago. Hello, I'm Paul Barry, and I'm guilty as charged. Welcome to another 1,000 years of Media Watch. Thanks for joining me in a new millennium where I will be the judge. And talking of new millennia, isn't it amazing how different it all is? I mean, that new millennium music, wow.
What you doing on your back? Ah, what you doing on your back? You should be dancing, yeah. They come to America. They come to America today, yes.
And what about Barry Manilow? It looked like he was stuck in a time warp. It took so long for his voice to reach us.
Let me know the wonder of all of you, and baby, I want you now.
And while we're still celebrating, who does this remind you of?
It is churlish, ungracious, petty, greedy and unpleasant.
Any ideas?
Nasty, mean-spirited, undemocratic, surly, arrogant and bullying.
I'll give you a clue. It's a broadcaster.
Its behaviour was malicious, vicious, self-interested, crude, shameless, antisocial and unacceptable.
Yes, they're still the one. A prize for anyone who recognised the 9 network, as described by the Australian's Errol Simper. And this is why he reached for his thesaurus.
Sydney's New Year's Eve fireworks are creating sparks, still 9 days out from the big event. The federal court has been told the 9 television network has obtained exclusive copyright over the fireworks. Lawyers for the commercial broadcaster are seeking a court order preventing the ABC from televising the harbour display.
9 lost that battle and the ABC showed the fireworks. But what did those unmentionables from Channel 9 do next? Have a look at this. Yes, they pinched TV3's pictures of the countdown in Auckland. Under a deal with New Zealand's TV3, the ABC's partner in the 2000 Today consortium, these pictures were supposed to be an ABC exclusive in Australia. But they weren't so exclusive after all. Over on 9, they were showing them as well. 9 didn't have any cameras there. They just plucked the pictures off the satellite. And when dawn arrived in New Zealand 6 hours later, they did it again.
1,000 cameras, 2,000 today. You're watching coverage from New Zealand on ABC television.
Let's cross now to New Zealand and watch the first light of 2000.
Nine took its satellite feed from Associated Press. They were permitted to use the pictures, but only for news. So was it just an honest mistake? Well, it seems not. TV3 say they rang Channel 9 to complain that their pictures were being stolen, but that 9 kept on using them. The BBC in England say they also rang 9 to complain, and that made no difference either. Now the lawyers are writing letters, and there are a lot of angry people, including Dame Kiri Takanua. Most of the Divas concert was broadcast on 9 without permission. So how does 9 answer the charges? Well, they say they can use as much as they like. Last week, their Director of News and Current Affairs, Peter Meakin, gave Channel 10 a blast for pinching Nine's cricket footage.
I'm reluctant to accuse them of theft, but in Saudi Arabia, they'd have their hands chopped off.
Pass Peter the Mirror, will you? In the world of newspapers, the millennium also brought a hiccup or two. The Sydney Morning Herald hired famous photographer David Moore to capture first light over Sydney Harbour for its millennial front page. This is what they had in mind. A wonderful picture taken by Moore in 1963. This is what they got. Only 4 times in 45 years has Sydney's sky been cloudless for the New Year's dawn. This was not one of them. In fact, it was raining. Moore took the photo from a helicopter at 5:45. It was sent by laptop and mobile phone to the Herald, and by 6:30 it was in the paper. Wonderful technology. Shame about the result. Shame about the copy, too.
It seemed to have taken an eternity to reach this day, this night, this moment. Not just in human history, but in our own personal histories, dwarfed by time, as they so pointedly are today.
Anthony Dennis had 1,000 years to write that. But was it worth waiting for?
New Year's Eve had finally arrived, though it was accompanied, after years of planning and scheming, by a wonderfully weird meringue of optimism, opportunism, cynicism, hedonism, and monumentalism.
A meringue? The Australian also suffered from the Y2Ks. They'd spent 6 months planning the perfect front page. They found 101 Australians born since 1899, one for every year, and gathered them in Sydney for a huge and hugely expensive group photo. It was going to be a 2-page colour spread to wrap around the paper. Instead, they got this. It's small, it's black and white, and it's full of famous people you can't quite see. So, what's the story? Well, it's the same thing that happened to your holiday snaps last summer. The processing machine ate the film. Better luck next time, in the year 3000. Back in this century, the big news today is the ABA's report into Sydney Radio 2UE and Cash for Comment, a matter of key interest to all media watchers, including John Laws.
Here it is. This is for you, Erica, sweetheart. That's true if I had $1 million. If I had $1 million, somebody want to know where I got it, I guess.
In the United States, it's illegal for radio stars to sell their opinions, but there'll be no laws to stop Lawsy here. Thanks to the ABA, though, he and others will now have to tell us when their tonsils are being lubricated. And last week, Lawsy was giving us a taste of what it may sound like.
And I do have to say, thanks to the efficiency of Qantas, who are sponsors of mine, and American Airlines, who aren't sponsors of mine, and the Immigration Department, who aren't sponsors of mine, and the Customs Department, who work so damn hard. The Qantas, thank you very much. And again, let me say, they're sponsors of mine, and I'm very proud to tell you that.
In December, Lawsy's employers at 2UE made a false start on full and frank disclosure. But Laws told them what they could do with that.
John Laws has a number of sponsors which he has mentioned on air. The identity of these sponsors and the annual fees paid by them to John Laws may be obtained by inspecting a register at Radio 2UE's offices at 176 Pacific Highway, Greenwich. And from January next year, this information will also be available at 2UE's website.
So is that right? Really? I see. Well, that's really very interesting. You mean you're going to put on the website how much money I'm paid? Are we going to have all the executive salaries on the website too? We're going to ask barristers to hell with that.
To hell or not, the ABA has ordered the deals to be made public, along with a rough guide to the dollars involved. So will Lawsy's sponsors still want him when everyone knows he's on the payroll? Well, so far, so good. Despite the fuss, Laws is still getting $200,000 a year from Qantas, $300,000 a year from the NRMA, and the usual whack from Valvoline, Toyota, Norwegian Capricorn Line, Foxtel and the Penrith Panthers. And arch-rival Alan Jones hasn't been sent back to Struggle Street either. He's still getting $430,000 a year from the Colonial State Bank, $200,000 from Walsh Bay, plus nice little earners from Qantas, Optus, Sony, Channel 9 and HarperCollins. Of course, we don't know why they do keep paying him, because Alan told the ABA on oath that he couldn't be bought, and that he often didn't do what his sponsors paid him for. Perhaps they just like giving him money, or maybe they don't believe him. The ABA panel certainly didn't, and said in relation to Optus,
"The panel does not accept Mr Jones' evidence that he did not understand his obligations."
And finally tonight, it wouldn't be Media Watch if we didn't take a hunk out of the hand that feeds us. You may not even have noticed the new look of our programme, but we had a little problem this week with our new opening titles. After they'd been edited and approved by the executive producer and the commissioning editor of Media Watch, we were told by ABC management we had to change them. Here are the titles they didn't want you to see. Did you see it? There it is, our old friend Ray Martin in his street-side confrontation with John Safran. ABC management insisted we cut Ray out. They told us the ABC has an agreement with Ray Martin not to show the footage, and it's a line that Ray also likes to spread. So we asked the ABC's lawyers for a copy of the agreement. Here's what they had to say.
The legal department has no knowledge of any formal agreement or arrangement in place between the ABC or its representatives and Ray Martin.
Isn't that odd? We were saddened to read in the Green Guide that Ray had lost favour with the carpet strollers at Channel 9.
A star is torn.
His contract with Nine, worth a reputed $1.7 million, expired late last year and he remains unsigned and in negotiations. The network is offering projects Martin doesn't want.
Well, it's great to see he still has pull over here at the ABC. Perhaps he'd like my job. Thanks for joining us. Might see you next week. Good night.